So I'm live on my YouTube channel right now. If you subscribe to my channel, you already get first access. If you don't, I'm going to post the link in Clubhouse in about 30 seconds. Hey, let me just pull it up. And we are live now. Here it is. 30 seconds. Hey, let me just pull. There's a massive echo because I'm talking to myself. If you're interested in building your personal brand, jump in the chat. Let us know what you are working on and what you're struggling with. And I'll try and jump into some questions after I'm done the segment as well. So if you go to the very, very top of the room, you can actually jump right into the live. I see Celeste Priority Sheila Santini. Nice to see you as well. If anybody wants to communicate with us, just jump into the chat on the channel as well too. And you can connect with other like-minded individuals. I always go back and read the chat. And the other fun thing that I will do is I'll take this entire recording and I'll actually set it to my production team. They will chop it up and they will make this entire segment very streamlined. I'll cut out all the fat, all the ums and ahs, and I'll make it very tactical for you so you can rewatch this at your own cadence and go through it step by step. You know, the reason I wanted to go over this topic is I think a lot of us feel like they know they need to work on their brand online, but a lot of times they feel like they don't know where to start, what platform to start on, and they don't have the time, the systems, or the tools. I think those are a lot of self-defeating narratives, and we're going to put a stop to that today. So if you've ever felt any of those things, you are in the right place because we're going to systematically break down a few key topics that are going to help you scale and build your business. For context, if you've never met me before, my name is Justin Conoco. I'm one of the owners of Prime Real Estate Brokerage with my incredible wife. She is literally the brains behind the operation. Incredibly smart woman. She's got her MBA from the Richard Ivey School of Business. She literally built the entire foundation of our business as something unlike anything in the real estate industry. So our brokerage operates out of Southwestern Ontario, Canada. We have a team of about 30 people, and we do all asset classes in real estate, which is very rare for our industry. Typically, you just sell houses or you just do commercial. We literally do everything, and think about it like a Navy SEAL team that crushes each tranche of business. So I have my snipers, which is my commercial division, my investors, my land development team, all of these different people. But what makes us different, right? What's the brand behind the company? It's the fact that we're a company that happens to be experts in the real estate business, not a brokerage that's worried about office count and agent count. And we're not in the agent recruiting business. We actually have a waiting list to join Prime. We only hire quarterly, bi-yearly, typically at most. And our goal is to be experts in the real estate space. So you can almost think about us more of a digital agency that happens to be in real estate than a typical conventional real estate brokerage. Now, we codified that over the years by going through a few of the simple steps that I'm going to share with you today. But these steps have literally made us hundreds of thousands of dollars by having people engage with us through our content and our social media and become consumers. And I promise you, if you do it correctly, you actually don't have to spend $1 on advertising to draw in the right people. But if you do spend money on advertising later on, you can scale that to a massive degree. So we're going to talk about what a brand actually is. We're going to talk about content strategy. So actually coming up with ideas, shooting them, creating them, and distributing them. We're going to talk about systemizing the lead intake and also the evolution of a brand, because I think those are all very, very important topics. So the first thing I want to jump into today is what is branding? And I think a lot of people get confused about marketing versus advertising, right? Marketing would be branding. It's who are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? And what makes you very unique? The reason I gave you the story behind Prime is I literally did that in the opening of this video. I explained who we were, I explained where we were, and I explained what made us very unique. There's a lot of other things that make us unique, but I didn't want to overwhelm you to start because I wanted to use that as an example. But you need to think about what codifies you as different than everybody else. Because most people, when they come into the real estate industry, they want to be like the people they want to be like. They look at the very successful agents on social media. They look at the Ryan Serhants of the world, the Matt Leonettis, and they look at people that got to where they got to, have a massive following, and they just try and replicate their photos and think that that's going to give them success. Matt Leonetti is a good friend of mine, and I'll use him as an example. He used hilarious real estate videos to really make his name. Now he's a national speaker. He's at Inman. I'm speaking at Buzz Conference with him in 2 weeks. He's been at the Serhant House as well. We have a lot of mutual connections. But the reason Matt became Matt is he was just so uniquely himself, and he was consistent with that messaging that the right people started finding him. Now he cusses in his videos. He does things that maybe not everybody likes, but he's found the right people, and the wrong people just don't follow him. The cool thing about social media today is once you find your personal brand, the actual platforms will go find more of those people for you because they're in the eyeballs business. So what I want you to do this week is I really want you to start thinking about what makes you different in your industry. Jump in the comments. Let me know who you're from. Let me know what industry you're in and what makes you unique in that industry. If you're on the live stream, let me know literally right now. If you're watching the replay, jump in the comments and let me know because I definitely want to know. Now, advertising is once you've taken all that information, it's taking the advertising platforms like Facebook, Google, pre-roll YouTube, and running ads against the messaging that you're putting out. So once we figured out the messaging, think about it this way. I'll credit Zillow Killer with this strategy. $100 a month is your advertising budget. Let's just pretend that's the case. 70% of that is actually generating leads, right? So if it was in my industry, maybe I have a listing that's live and I'm running a lead generation ad to that territory for people looking for that house. Awesome. 20% of that ad is actually brand awareness. So once I have those leads coming in, then I'm actually retargeting them with my market update video. I spend a lot of time staying on top of the real estate market. The market has shifted completely from May until today. I work with economists, I work with bankers, I work with a lot of people that people don't necessarily have access to. I compile the information, I make it efficient, and then I send that information to people that just don't know me yet, but they've integrated or they've tagged one of my leads or they're in my database somehow, right? Now they're starting to get to know who I am through my branding. Maybe they follow me on Instagram. And if you start thinking about what I just said and I start talking about my messaging, about the real estate industry that I cover, where I cover it, the fact that I have a global network. If you're looking for an agent in Texas, you can call me. Guess what their aptitude for clicking on my profile and sending me a DM is? Much bigger than if they've never actually met me or I never told them who I was. Right? I think a big mistake a lot of people make when it comes to marketing is they just expect people to show up. And that's just not the case. Nobody owes you anything. You literally have to earn it and you have to be thoughtful with your messaging. Now, I am going to share my screen for a quick second because I'm not perfect by any means. And I went wrong very much in the beginning. So I'm going to show you a secret on Instagram that I don't think anybody knows exists. If you actually go and Google the hashtag closers daily, these are 363 videos I put out starting in like 2013 on Instagram before short form was cool. I was doing 1-minute videos and they were terrible. Like you're not going to be able to hear the audio on this, but you can see the camera's all shaky. The text is not placed correctly. It was what it was. But the funny thing is doing these videos over time is literally how I built my business. You know, I never really had a ton of views. I never really had a ton of likes, but I would see people on the street and they would look at me and be like, "Oh, I watch all your videos. They're awesome." In my head, I'd be like, "Well, why didn't you like or comment on it?" But I was worried about, say, vanity metrics in the beginning, and I almost gave up a couple times, but the phone kept ringing and people kept telling me they were watching the videos and I kept getting business. So I kept doing it. The funny thing is now, if you look at the same profile, you see it's a lot more streamlined, and without me even clicking on anything, you see him at an open house. You see I'm learning at the Tom Ferry Virtual Summit. You see him around a really nice car at a motel and wondering what's happening at the commercial property. You see me with my boy, Scott McGilvery, talking about real estate. You can tell through the visual representation of my brand how starting to produce content at a high level in the beginning got me here, right? It took the 10,000 hours. It took the 363 posts, which is now over 1,000 for me to really get to this place. But don't compare your today to my today, right? Compare where you want to get to with the actions I took to get to where I got to today. I was going to also show something else that popped up this morning. I opened my Instagram as I was prepping this segment for you guys, and AP Team Real Estate, who's linked with the REC team, a group I work with out of Toronto, posted this. And I actually literally was typing beauty shot. This is fire. And I literally was going to write that because I think it is a beautiful shot and it's luxury real estate. And I'm going to hit send. Cool thing about this is now that I hit send, guess what the algorithm knows? It knows that I like people in real estate. I like luxury real estate, and it's actually going to help me build my network. So a key to building your brand is making sure that you're taking the time to interact with brands and people that are in the same space that you're in. If all I did was go after fly fishing people on Instagram, guess what Instagram would think I was? A fly fisherman. So get very, very dialed in on who you are, what you do, where you do it, and where you want to spend your time. I also want to talk about what you do once those leads come in. I think having some type of qualification system in place is absolutely key. Get yourself a CRM. Actually, last week I did a video on the entire way to break down and use a CRM. So if you want to see that replay, I think it's going to drop on Monday. Just hit the subscription notification button, or you can join my newsletter. If you go to justinconoco.com/resources, I will share that screen super quick. You can just click this. You can actually get all these free PDFs as well. So my content creation guide, how I shoot and create content, how I do my time blocking, getting started with YouTube, storytelling. This was actually Kyle Scott, producer at NBC and head of Serhant Ventures. So Ryan Serhant's my personal mentor. Kyle came on and talked about storytelling, and all these will be on the resources page. And it's also where you'll get all of these replays so you can watch the more condensed version of them. But I'm going to go back to the presentation for now. So once you actually get a lead that calls in, how do you do a lead intake form? Well, if you were a podcast guest, typically what I would have you do is I would have you go to my Calendly page and you would click on this podcasting booking page. I only do it live on Thursdays, and it'll pop up a calendar on what days you can pick. We're booking out till October, so I'm not going to let this run. But then what you get in your email is this little page, a podcasting form saying click here. And it would say name, email, phone number, website, Instagram page, Facebook page, YouTube channels, all the things, right? Now, we are refining this process a little bit, so there's no redundancy between Calendly and this. But the reason all of this stuff was in place is the second these forms get filled out, it actually goes to my CRM that I spoke about. And my CRM will then create a person in it automatically. So I don't have to do any more input, and it'll assign an action plan to it saying, make sure you double check with the guest at the date that works. You get their headshot, you do the social images. What do you do pre-show, launch the show, so on and so forth, right? It's all systemized and automated. I know that sounds like a lot, and I've broken that down in previous videos. Or if you're curious about any specific topic, jump in the comments, let me know. I'll break it down in a future video. But taking the time to build the foundation is what gives me so much time to do videos like this, right? So I just wanted to show you how systemizing those things can make a huge difference. And the actual podcast that they come on is the Prime People podcast. And it's a way that I can distribute content on multiple platforms, thus reinforcing my brand that we spoke about with minimal effort. So we've talked about building your actual brand and codifying who you are, what you do, where you do it, and what makes you different. For myself, it's content creation and media. We've talked about doing the lead qualification to having them become a client. Now, once they become a past client, making sure that you're retargeting them, similar to what we spoke about with the lead intake form and retargeting them with brand awareness. You can use things like newsletters. You can use things like client events to maintain that culture and that community. But the evolution of a brand is what I also wanted to touch on. So I showed you earlier on what my brand was like, who I was, how I got to where I got to today. But it's been a constant process of me looking at it every single year and refining it, right? Today, I'm actually in a place where I am putting massive limits and exclusivity around me doing stuff like this, where I spend my time, any information that I give, and insights to what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, so that the content becomes exponentially more valuable. My newsletter, my goal is to make that thing so insanely valuable, you would pay $1,000 a month for it. Cool thing is I'm not charging a dime for it. I don't need your money. I just need you to feel inspired. I need you to subscribe, and I need you to share this with somebody. I need you to leave a 5-star review for my podcast. I'm not asking you to do all that stuff right now. That is my actual goal. If you want to, feel free, go ahead. But that being my end game puts me in a place where my personal brand then becomes the thought leadership and allows me to open up a lot more opportunities for my personal life and my business. Now, where does that start? That starts with your vision. So you may know who you are today, what you do and where you do it, and maybe what makes you different. But when I talk about the evolution of a brand, I think you all need to step back, take a 30,000-foot view and say, why are you doing what you're doing? I'm not doing what I'm doing because I want to be famous and speak on a million different stages. That's not the life that I want. I want to be able to shoot content like this, inspire millions of people, but I also want to be able to live an absolutely free life. And I want to go fly fishing, and I want to play with my family, and I want to have a lot of time to think and do the things that I enjoy to do. right? To be able to do that at scale, I don't need any more clients, to be frank with you, right? We own Prime Real Estate. We also own a production company. Our production company has started limiting and putting parameters around who we take on as clients. Evolution of a brand. A year ago, if you would have asked me, we would have done photography shoots and video shoots and everything that I'm showing you that we do for my personal brand for anybody. But then I realized the more clients you have, the more you work for more people, the more bosses you have. People get in business because they want absolute freedom, and then they get in the client services business, and instead of one boss, they have 100,000 bosses. So my vision has really become the real estate brokerage and the real estate YouTube channel, which is this one right here. Prime Real Estate is the channel you go to if you're looking for anything real estate related. Right now, Southwestern Ontario, if you're looking for neighborhood tours, market updates, what's happening in the market, what's happening with interest rates, this is the channel you go and subscribe to. This channel only has 22.62K subscribers, generates 300 to 400 leads a year, just based off the organic stuff that's there. Insane. We just popped 1 million views for a small channel. And ultimately, this will be the channel you go to if you're looking for a realtor anywhere on the planet. I'm one of the Serhant ambassadors out of 12,000 people globally. I'm a McGillivray trusted agent. I'm tapped in with the Tom Ferry network. Plus, I have one of the biggest organic agent networks on the planet. So I can hook you up with the right person. That's this. And I actually get paid for that, right? When I send out a referral, I get a referral fee for making that connection, but I won't make a referral unless I know who's on the other side of that phone and they're actually very, very well vetted. So Prime, the most trusted name in real estate. When I look at my personal channel, the one that you're actually watching this on right now, the one where my personal website is at, justinkondico.com, I'm a real estate agent that's in production, right? So I want you to call me to do actual real estate if you happen to be in my territory. I put parameters around where I do that and who I do that with, some exclusivity, because I'm not the cheapest agent on the planet, but I can definitely make you the most money based on the systems that we build. But I'm also a media and marketing expert. So my personal brand is exactly what I told you, right? Be able to inspire people through my content creation to create in their lives what we created in our own. Because I don't necessarily feel like I'm the smartest guy on the planet, but I've gotten around the right people and found ways to use new media to capitalize on my core business. And what I told you earlier, my vision for my personal brand is to grow this page to its own community. And that's the way that I'm going to win on that page. It's not necessarily me charging for courses or doing speaking engagements, because I don't necessarily want to travel the world and do speaking engagements, because my time with my family is the most valuable commodity. Maybe in the future, right? When my daughter goes to university and my wife and I want to travel, maybe we integrate it that way. And the evolution of my brand may change over the coming years. But I just wanted you to have clarity of how I'm looking at my personal brand today, how I'm putting parameters around the content I create, the consistency of that content, and how I'm also willing to change it in a year, 2 or 3 years. If you follow this channel, I bet you I'm having a very different conversation with you in the future than we're having today. But I want to give you some context to how I did it. And the last piece that I wanted to touch on, actually, before I let you go, is thinking about the platform. So now that you have an idea of who you are, what you do, where you do it, what makes you unique, maybe you have a vision, you have a system for intaking people into your world and building that brand, you may get overwhelmed by the different platforms that are out there. I think about it in terms of the attention graph, right? So I always thought, as Instagram was number one, maybe Facebook number two, then maybe TikTok, then maybe YouTube. Well, here's the reality of it. Facebook has 2.91 billion people, YouTube 2.291, WhatsApp 2 billion, Messenger 1.3, Instagram, WeChat, then TikTok, and then it goes all the way down to Twitter, LinkedIn, and all these other platforms. Don't get distracted by this graph, because the reality of the attention graph today, and I think a lot of people know this, Instagram is actually falling off pretty huge in terms of where their identity is, where their brand is, right? They kind of are trying to be like TikTok with Reels and the way that they're structuring their content. TikTok is dominating with their organic algorithm. Everybody's flooding to that platform. Meanwhile, people are getting insane business off platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. To solve that problem, what I wanted to explain to you was to cover both the platform and content creation piece. Pick the platform you enjoy using. If you love the aspect of LinkedIn, go deep on LinkedIn. Go follow people like my friend Judy Fox. You can watch the Prime People podcast I did with her. Get an idea of how you can tactically use LinkedIn as your Kickstarter platform. If you like Instagram and you want to, start developing content, book 30 minutes in your week to just write down ideas. Book another 30 minutes to grab your phone and start shooting content, and book another 30 minutes on a different day to actually click post. and start small. Pick one platform and think about it like you're going to the gym. You're not going to bench press 225 pounds 12 times your first day in. You're going to start with 100 pounds or 40 pounds. And you're going to do it a couple times until you get used to it. A tool that I put in place is I use reminders on my iPhone to remind me. Today, actually, my iPhone goes off at 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and 5 p.m. to post on TikTok. I've been doing that for about a month. Now, probably 50% of the time, I don't even need the reminder, but it's there. So there's a few tools. There's some ways that you can actually implement your digital brand today. If you got any value from the episode, hit the subscription, the notification button, and let me know in the comments. We will chop up this episode, drop it in my email. If you want to get on my newsletter for the replay, go to justinconoco.com/resources, and I'll see you on the next one. So we've ended the